What's happening, guys? It's your girl Mina. You guys know what it is, man. What we learned after game week 8. And I'm not gonna lie, guys. I was setting up my stream, watching the game. Absolutely, my heart in my stomach. Yeah, we went from practically being done, practically being finished. But you know what? It's not over until the whistle blows. Scotty Too Hotty with a double. I'm gonna call him that from now on because he's earned that name. I'm not gonna lie, he's earned that name. Scotty Too Hotty. Scott McTominay. Bro is not a midfielder. I don't want to see that guy in midfield. Now, we can listen. I think, I'm not even joking, guys. I will be very, very honest. I think this is the game that turns the tide. I genuinely feel like this is going to be the game that has turned the tide. You saw the celebrations at the end of that game. You saw the celebrations for that winner from Scott McTominay, from the manager, from the fans, from the players. Onana running the length of the pitch. You lot know how important that the 3 points, I think, is for us. Keeps us in the top half of the table, of course. But oh my God, I actually cannot believe it. I'm lost for words, guys. I'm lost for words because we could talk about the game. But one thing I will say is credit to Eric Ten Hag. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to give him some credit. And you lot are going to think, why is she giving Ten Hag credit? I'm giving him credit for hooking Casemiro at halftime. Rashford got about 15 minutes in the second half before he got hooked. Not gonna lie, quite difficult. I'll be honest. I wouldn't say it was really valid for him to get taken off, but I felt like in that particular moment, something felt like it was gonna come from him if it was gonna come from anywhere. But credit to Ten Hag for hooking them off. But can I just say, Casemiro has been so poor, so careless. I'm actually lost for words at this point with him. I feel like he's mentally not wanting to be there. I saw people saying he's collecting a check at the end of the day. I'm not going to say that, but the way that he's been performing has been so careless. The guy's giving away possession so carelessly. And when he does give it away, there's no sense of urgency to try and win it back. That goal we conceded, I think there's quite a few people that we could say had some contributing factors to the mistake, because essentially it was a bunch of individual errors again that cost us. And one thing that really irritated me regarding that was Andre Onana. I don't know what it is with him. What is his wrists made out of? The way he makes his saves, he don't get a lot on the ball. He does not get a lot on the ball, whether it's on purpose, whether it's deliberately or not. I'm not too sure. Big up to Keegan, says, good to see the bench holder come on and do a madness, show these starters what's what. It's crazy. It's crazy. 2 months ago, we were saying ship off Maguire and McTominay to West Ham for 70 million. I remember we were saying 70 million, they can have him. They can have the both of them. And now Maguire assists McTominay for the winner. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy when you think about it like that. Big up to Nuru, says the way we play is not enough even for top 10. Shout out to Suleiman, says Scott McSauce. I screamed. Listen, the way that I screamed in my house was crazy. These first team players have a lot to learn from these bench holders. I agree. They got a lot to learn. Scott saved us. Proof Rashford can't start. I think the Rashford criticism is a bit harsh. I do think he wasn't that great in the game, but I do feel like he grew into it, especially before he got hooked. But can I just say, it looks like Ten Hag is definitely moving away from this idea of Rashford having a lot of involvement in the game. A few games ago, he got taken off around the 80th minute. Before that, was around the 70th minute. Today, he got hooked in the 61st minute. In the 61st minute. And I know Ten Hag has come out in press conferences time and time again to the media, time and time again. He keeps saying, listen, Rashford will pick up form. You know, once players are in a little bit of a slump, they just need one goal to kickstart their goal scoring. And I hear it. But I think that Ten Hag is genuinely losing patience. Honestly, I think he's losing patience. And I wouldn't blame him. I'm losing patience. Well, I've lost my patience with a lot of these players, especially in a game today where midfield overrun. It's really frustrating because if we talk about the Onana thing, let's talk about Onana, for example. We brought Onana under the impression that he's a good shot stopper and amazing with his feet. He's a sweeper keeper, all of that. Modern day keeper, as people like to call it. Modern day keeper. Why is it about 20 minutes into the game, we abandoned our tactic of trying to play out from the back? And now suddenly it was just long balls. There was a time where Johnny Evans was literally passing. It was a goal kick And basically what they do is Johnny Evans takes it, passes it back to Onana, and then Onana plays it out. He's like, nah, just boot it upfield, just boot it upfield. Why did we abandon that if that's our tactic? It felt like whatever tactic coming into games, we just abandon it after 20 minutes. I'm tired of this whole playing for 20 minutes FC nonsense. Today, last 6-7 minutes of extra time, crazy. That was crazy. Like I don't know why. I felt like we could get a goal, but I genuinely did not think that we would get a late winner. Shout out Red Scare Claire says, Mina, I told you last time McTominay needs to be the number 3 striker. If he's going to stay there, you laughed at me. You ain't laughing now. Fact, I'm not laughing now. You can laugh at me. I'll hold my head up and I will take the L. I don't want to see Scott McTominay. I think he started off as a striker in the Manchester United Academy. I don't want to see him in midfield ever again. Like I said, it's funny that we were calling for him to leave, and now he's the savior. And guys, you lot see how I was seeing talks about Ten Hag getting sacked during international break. I was seeing discussions about like it's over for him. I genuinely feel like this is the game that turns the tide. I think this is the game that I wouldn't say changes everything, but we will look back at this game in about 3 months' time and be like, that's the game that kick-started our season. Should I dare say it? Because we fought till the end. It wasn't, I wouldn't even say it was given to us. I don't think the 3 points were given to us. I do feel bad. I think Pinnock had a great game. Brentford centre-back, one of the defenders. Prime Maldini. My guy was playing like Prime Maldini. He was on the end of everything. However, it was nice to see us actually fight till the end. We shouldn't have had to. We're at home. Of course, the home crowd also helps. But it was nice to see the team actually fighting and actually wanting to get a goal. And you know what? I'm glad it was the players that have, I wouldn't say be banished from the team, but non-starters. Because essentially it's showing Ten Hag that sometimes these starters don't deserve to start. I'm sorry. I'm going to go back to it again. Casemiro, I don't want to see him start after international break. I think the first game we got back in the Premier League is Sheffield United. I don't want to see Casemiro starting. I don't think he deserves to. After today, after the red card midweek, I don't think he should have started today because that was irresponsible. After the sloppiness today, in your big age, your big experience that you've got to get hooked at halftime at home to Brentford, I think that shows you that the manager definitely had lost it with Casemiro at that point. Another thing I don't get is why Hannibal is suddenly not in the team anymore. I don't get that. Shout out Koala says, I'm not hearing Casemiro slander, but when Bruno does it, we go again. Our captain is number 1 on stats for giveaways that have led to a goal. I mean, we could talk about stats and all of that stuff. But when we talk about today, that goal started from a Casemiro mistake, which is why I'm calling him out. I'm calling him out because I feel like the last few games he hasn't been good enough. I feel like you already know my stance. You lot already know what my stance is on Bruno. You lot already know my frustrations with Bruno. I share it time and time again. Bruno, for me, has to play more tidier. He has to be more responsible. He needs to take care of the ball. Today, he was trying a lot of it. I saw a time he tried like a little outside of the boot pass, which I don't think it was a necessity. I don't think there was a need to do that. But Bruno is in the same category for me as Rashford in terms of losing my patience. You lot already know that. Suleiman says Bruno isn't great and has been hiding. He needs to hold bench too. I wouldn't be mad if you put Mount in the 10 and you put Hannibal in holding with Amrabat. I'm going to come to Amrabat actually because I wasn't too impressed with him today either. I realized this, I'm not going to lie, maybe because in the World Cup with Morocco, Amrabat had a lot less of the ball. He picked it up from the defenders and then he'd always give it to Unahi. But today I realized Amrabat takes too many touches. That guy takes too many touches on the ball. Too many touches. And you know what? That is a flaw for me. That is a flaw for me in the midfield. That is a flaw for me in transition because you taking too many touches, I think, is unnecessary, especially when they're unnecessary touches. If you're not being pressed and there's no opposition near you and you're just taking extra touches, okay, cool. But if you've got a player running at you or you've got a player running behind you and you're getting pressed, I think there's not a necessity to take too many touches. And I feel like Amrabat does that. And I feel like today it could have been costly. There was a few moments where there was actually one particular moment that stands out to me. I remember where he took about 13, 14 touches. He progressed the ball. He had, I think it was Garnacho on the left, Brentford player coming from behind him who actually ended up fouling him. So it worked in his favor. But if he had slightly stepped a bit different, he would have got dispossessed and Brentford would have been on the counter. So I feel like today I realized Amrabat is, and I don't know if that's because he's still learning the tempo of the game. He's still getting to terms with it, especially because today he started in his more natural position. Him and Casemiro together scare me, guys. I'm not joking. Him and Casemiro together scare me. Also, the way we kept playing sideways and backwards makes me want to rip my hair out. Shout out Crybaby says, not getting fooled by this win. We've been here before. I want to see it again and again. Joke performance, 10% effort. Crybaby is not happy with, I guess, the performance. Peacekeeper Mo says, Casemiro, crap. I can't believe Mount got hooked and Bruno didn't. This is a great point. Thank you for bringing this up. I feel like we see it quite often. The last 2 games, I can definitely say I've seen it. Undeservedly, I think Mount gets taken off ahead of Bruno. And I don't get it. Galatasaray, I think Mount was probably our most impressive. I think in the first half today, Mount and Højlund for me were my bright spots of the first half. In terms of in transition, going forward, trying to do something with the ball. It was Mount and Højlund for me that impressed in the first half. To see him get taken off in the second half and to see Bruno manage again to get 90 minutes under the belt, to me, it's crazy. I don't know at this point what Ten Hag sees. I don't know what he does. Today, I feel like with Ten Hag's changes, that was just, I don't want to say hit and hope, but it felt like those were hit and hope changes. Hooking Casemiro, hooking Rashford, Garnacho coming on earlier, Martial coming on, Scott McTominay for the height when he realized that we were getting a lot of corners in the last 10 or so minutes. I feel like I don't think it was tactical substitutions. I think it was just substitutions, the type of substitutions where if it works out, we will be singing his praise. But I think it was his last resort. I genuinely don't think Ten Hag had anything else to change in the game, because once you take off Mount and you opt to keep Bruno in, I think you've kind of decided how you want the pace of the game to go. You've kind of decided how you want Manchester United's ball control to go when Bruno is kept on the pitch. And I think, obviously, Højlund coming on and then Martial coming on and basically Scott McTominay coming on as a third striker at that point, I genuinely think that for Ten Hag, this was a hit and hope. And you know what? It paid off. It absolutely paid off, and he's lucky. And if it didn't work, people would have, if we ended up conceding when we were chasing a goal, people would have been like, why did you bring on McTominay? Why did you do this? Why did you take off Amrabat when you put him at left back, etc.? Yeah, it was a Hail Mary. I agree with you, Ahmed. It was a Hail Mary. It was his last resort. And I guess that just shows the desperation that the manager, the point that the manager is now at is essentially just desperation. It's hoping, because the players that he puts out first 45 minutes, first 60 minutes cannot do the job that he really has acquired them to do so, which for me is actually a failure on those players' behalf. At this point, how many players in the team are his players? I'm trying to think. Is Amrabat is his player, Onana is his player, Anthony is his player, Højlund is his player, Mount is his player. So quite a few of them in his team are players that he's picked out. So if you're still struggling for the players kind of unable to do what the task that you set out, and then for me it's also the fact that United abandon the game plan every time. Our game plan is essentially to play out from the back, play out from a press. Brentford do it comfortably. A lot of teams in the Premier League do it comfortably when they come up against us. They play out of our press so easily. We cannot do that. We try it and then abandon it 10, 15 minutes into the game and just go long ball. Why did we spend 60 million on a goalkeeper? Yeah. Questionable reflexes and saving ability, but he's amazing with his feet. He's amazing with his feet. Why did we spend nearly 60 million on him if we just abandoned the game plan every game? 20 minutes into the game, we abandoned the game plan of trying to play out from the back. It's because the midfielders can't do their job. The defenders can't do their job. Honestly, today, guys, I agree. Shout out to Hellboy, says we won't be so lucky next time. This was definitely luck. This was, like I said, this was a Hail Mary. It was a Hail Mary in terms of substitutions from the manager. We were lucky. We worked till the last minute. Would I say it was deserved? I would, but that's me being biased. If I if I'm being honest, that's me being biased. But one thing I will say is that we might not be so lucky in the future. Just like Hellboy says it here, we won't be this lucky. Going forward, I don't think Brentford were that much of a threat in terms of getting in opportunities to their strikers. The strikers were trying, and you know what? Shout out to Harry Maguire, because he quietly had a good game. He settled that back line. And this is a player that fans have booed. We have wanted him out. And this is my point with players, guys. This is my point in terms of the players that we have in the team, the squad players, the bench players. When you're called upon, just perform. That's all I ask. Today, Harry Maguire, Johnny Evans, bro, I said the game was giving me heart palpitations before the game even started. Just because of that backline. But Harry Maguire today, respect to him, respect to Scotty Too Hotty, aka Scott McTominay, because these are players that we've wanted out, and they proved, I wouldn't say they proved their worth, but they proved that they will give it all for the badge in comparison to players that have been given lump contract extensions. Players that we've given fat extensions. We've given them stupid contract extensions. Scott McTominay and Harry Maguire today, they showed that they have a bit of fight in them. And I genuinely think Harry Maguire, obviously he had the assist, winning it. The game winner assist came from him. And that's the kind of mentality you need. We talk so much about the fragile mentality in these players. If anybody in the team would have had the most weakest mentality, it should be Harry Maguire, because this is a guy fans have wanted out. He gets booed at national level sometimes. He gets booed by his club fans. Social media rip him apart when he plays bad. People are waiting on a mistake. I remember when I went to a game once, and every time he touched the ball, everybody would be like, ooh, I wait for him to pass and see what he does. If anyone, today, strong mentality, strong mindset, and that's what you want from your players. And that's why I'm saying respect to Harry Maguire, because he's a player that has got it a lot in terms of criticism. I respect him for it. Why are midfielders so allergic to play the balls through the lines? Even our centre-backs, Leacher, needs to come back soon. He's actually one of the few players that can progress the ball upwards. And you know what? Another thing is injuries. Obviously, we ain't been lucky with injuries, especially, I think, in our backline. That's the biggest problem. We didn't have one defender on the bench today. And I questioned that. I'm not going to lie. And the reason why I questioned it because, are you telling me there is not one centre-back in Manchester United's academy that we could put in the bench just in case anything happens? I get it that we have Amrabat and he could play left back, and then you could shift around your centre backs. Okay, cool. But if anything goes wrong, are you telling me that we don't have one option possible in terms of from our academy? I don't know. We had an entire bench of midfielders and forwards on our bench. And honestly, we've been unlucky with injuries, but I'm glad that this has been brought up, because Raphael Varane, we need to move past him next summer. I think Varane is a great player. I think when he's fit, he's capable. Although I wasn't impressed with his performance against Galatasaray. And I feel bad. I feel bad saying this because he has retired from international football to focus on club football. But I'm sorry. We always say this with Anthony Martial. The best ability is availability. And when our defense is dying for a centre-back, we're absolutely screaming out for just one person to stay fit, we need to replace Varane. We need a new right-sided centre-back. We can go and get Mohamed Simakan from RB Leipzig. I've been saying that for a minute. But anyone we do choose to get, we genuinely need to. Next summer, we need to. And I know that they wanted to sign a centre-back this year, but Glazers, I guess, opted not to. And we ended up with Johnny Evans on a free. But if we're talking about priority replacements next season, then that centre-back should be at least number 2 after a midfielder. That centre-back should be an absolute priority, because for me, I think we've moved past the moments of Raphael Varane being able to stay fit. I feel like he scares me. He's made of glass. And when he does play, I'm not going to lie, anytime he goes down, I hold my breath, because that could be another injury. I'm also worried about Lisandro Martinez kind of triggering the injury that he picked up at the end of last season. Is this going to now be a regular occurrence where it's an injury concern all the time? Fitness, I think, is the biggest concern that we have in the team right now. And in terms of injuries, I genuinely feel like we've just been unlucky with some of them. And we've also been unlucky that a lot of it has been our defenders. I feel like a lot of it has been our defenders. But in that back line, we need at least 2 new centre-backs, 2 new defenders, sorry. We need a fullback because I am not sold. Diogo Dalot got an extension to 2028, I think, or 2029. That's it. He's sorted until he's 30, essentially. 31 at, but how old is Diogo Dalot? He's sorted. He signed a contract extension for nearly 6 years, basically. Or 5. I think it was a 5-year extension that he signed, or a new contract, whatever. Yeah. Man got 24. He's staying until he's 31, essentially. I am not signed on Diogo Dalot. I feel like we see his flaws way too often. Gave him a fat new contract. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is getting another new contract. Today, I don't know if you guys realized, a lot of our width in the first half, it was between our fullback, Dalot, and then our left winger, Rashford. Left back, Lindelof, for me, headless guy when he was playing at left back. I saw him at flipping right wing one point. I think let's not talk about what we need next season. Let's get through this season first. Big up to Dipesh, says papering over the cracks FC. These goals don't change an overall awful performance from Manchester United. You know what, guys? It's an awful performance, but it gives us some momentum. That's what we have to look at it. Of course, papering over the cracks. There's still problems. There's still issues. But all you need is one win to kickstart something. And I'm not saying kickstart a flipping title charge. I'm not saying that, but to kickstart some positivity, a nice run. Now we go on international break. I'm not going to lie. I hope none of our players play on international break. Honestly, I hope none of them play on during the international break. Rather, they all come back fit and healthy, ready to hit the ground running again, because we've got a few Champions League games, of course. We've got the Manchester Derby. We've got Sheffield United away. There's quite a few games that we have that I think is good momentum to pick up. It's just at an international break it's not always necessarily ideal. But I do think, guys, it's the start of something positive, because today was so toxic, guys. And I don't know if you lot share the same experience, but everywhere I was going on social media, I was just seeing talk about sacking the manager. And I really wanted to actually tweet saying, do people actually want to sack the manager? I couldn't believe it, because of course everyone was going off of the hypothetical that in that moment we were losing to Brentford. But even if we had lost, do you still think it would have been the right thing to sack the manager? It would have been the worst start since, I think, the 70s, I think it was, or the 80s. So it would have been the worst start in like 40 years. 3 home losses in a row, which hasn't happened in a long time. Barely won any games, conceding like crazy. I understand. But we can't afford to be in that same old cycle after cycle after cycle. So A, for that reason, I'm glad we won. B, mentality-wise, I'm glad we won. C, it's a kick up the arse. It's a kick, excuse my language, but it's a kick up the arse for the players to feel that energy. I think I'm big on energy, man. I'm big on energy. Shout out to Hellboy, says, I really want to see Altay Bayinda play. Someone was saying to me he's as bad as Onana in terms of the mistakes that he makes. I don't know how true it is, but someone said to me that he's as bad as Onana when it comes to making errors. What a way to end before the international break. We need to back Erik ten Hag through everything 100%. You don't know, man. I ain't manager out. I'm not. I'm very much trust the process. Be patient. We can't keep going through these cycles. I do question Ten Hag, and I've shared those thoughts with you guys before. I've shared it in terms of I question his in-game substitution. I question, his the decisions to just abandon tactics mid-game because it's not working. I question sometimes, the fact that it seems like there might be favoritism in terms of certain people being able to play or not. Today, I think, except for Bruno, it really showed there wasn't any favoritism. Bruno was the only one that didn't deserve, I think, to see that 90 minutes out. I think Mount deserves to play. We had this discussion earlier. Mount definitely deserved to play in terms of not getting substituted off. Casemiro hooked at halftime for me. He shouldn't have even started. You should have punished him for that red card midweek and played at Amrabat and Hannibal thing. I feel sorry for Hannibal. I'm not gonna lie. I feel sorry for Hannibal Mejbri to have good performances when you play, get benched, and you don't even get a sniff of the game. In that midfield, we were being overrun so much. I was thinking what we could have done to have Hannibal. Why can Hannibal not come on? Why is he not a decision off the bench? I feel sorry for Hannibal because the same way Garnacho is kind of licking his lips at the way Rashford is performing, Hannibal's probably been licking his lips at the way Bruno's performing. Because really and truly, if Bruno gets taken off, Mount can go in that spot, and Hannibal could play in that 8. Amrabat could sit by himself, and also Hannibal has the ability. I think he's got the legs and the engine in him to get back in terms of being a box to box. So he's capable of doing that. But like I said, I did question some things that Ten Hag has done, but I'm very much trust the process. And I'm sorry, I know some of you guys might not agree with that. And like I said, this channel, you are always welcome to share your differing opinions if there is some. And I won't try to convince you to believe in my opinions. But I will say is that Erik Ten Hag, for me, has flaws. He's definitely got flaws, and we see it. Today, I felt like the only thing he could do was hit that Hail Mary in terms of the substitutions that he made, taking off Casemiro, bringing on Martial, etc., and bringing on McTominay. I think McTominay was the final piece of the foundation of that game in terms of the Hail Mary. That was the final piece of the Hail Mary, and it worked. It worked in his favor. And you know what? I'm not criticizing him for that because that's literally desperation at that point. But I'm respecting the fact that he had the balls to take off Rashford earlier in the game. He had the decency to hook Casemiro. Bruno shouldn't have played, but that's a different one. I feel like even Højlund, after the 70th-ish minute, became a bit less impactful. But I do feel like his physical presence in the box does cause disruption for the opponent's backline because teams are always doubling up on him. Teams are always starting to double up on him. I'm starting to believe the manager is a bit naive. I don't know if it's naive. I don't know if it's naive or just stubborn. I feel like it's more so stubbornness because he thinks certain things will work out. Guys, I will be honest, yeah. I saw a picture today of Jadon Sancho watching the under-18s team this morning, and it just pissed me off because I'm like, all that talent going to waste over a feud with a manager that we don't know. We're not privy enough to know the full in and out of it. But it's frustrating. It's so frustrating. Every time I see pictures of Sancho watching academy players training or academy players matches, it's really annoying me because I'm not gonna overhype him or anything, but I just think like having him as an option off the bench would be so much better in possession. When today Brentford were playing with essentially a back 5 in the last 20 minutes. We were struggling to break them down with the passes that we were doing. We were doing a lot of back to front, side to side passing, which was really frustrating. This is not me saying Sancho would have been a game changer. But if we had an option like Sancho, alongside all the other options that we have, for me, that would be great. And just it's definitely stubbornness. You know, naively stubborn, says Ahmed. Erik Ten Hag is stubborn. Ajax mentioned it in UV. I definitely think it's more so, yeah, stubbornness than anything else. Until Erik Ten Hag starts rushing Bruno from the bench, I'm Ten Hag out. He makes himself look so naive. Big up to Adam, says, we scammed a win today. Listen, guys, a win is a win. I'm not going to sit here shamelessly and be like, we deserved it. We worked hard. We did work hard, and we definitely worked for the equalizer and then the winner. Yeah, we didn't make it easy for ourselves. We did not make it easy for ourselves. But 3 points is all that matters, guys. 3 points for me. Okay, no, I'm lying. I'm saying 3 points is all that matters. But really and truly, the performance does matter too, because you want to take away positives alongside the 3 points. And there was a few positives I could take away. You already heard it. Maguire praise. I had positive things to say about Garnacho, McTominay, bit about Højlund, bit about Mount, even Johnny Evans. His stubbornness gonna get him sacked. Today was Sancho's game to prove something, and it just irritates me every time I see him just going about his life and just doing this stuff, going to academy players' games and training. I just get so upset. I get so frustrated. I like annoyed because I'm like, bro, you should be playing for Manchester United. When we need to break down oppositions that are playing with a deep line, playing 5 in the back, we need someone. It would be beneficial to have someone who is able to keep a hold of possession and link up well. It's really, really frustrating. Like this Sancho thing, and we're in October now. This started the last international break, guys. This started the last international break, and it's still ongoing. Meaning we've gone 2 international breaks now with this issue. This is the second international break. I don't think it's going to end, and I think the only way it'll probably end is Sancho getting sold in January if we can find someone to offload his wages. Maybe United are willing to take a big risk in terms of them covering some of the cost of his wages. I don't know, but if we just focus on today's game, Scotty too hotty, we could go into the international break at least knowing that we took 3 points on the last game beforehand. Now, I don't know. If you guys are happy with that, let me know. I'm not happy, but I'm content for now. I'm content for now. I do think there's still a lot of problems in this team. The mentality is the biggest part. 20 minutes FC ain't good enough. I don't think it's good enough. We can't do this whole 20 minutes for a good performance and then kind of just get lost in the game after that. I think Højlund, I'm waiting for him to hit the ground running in the Premier League in terms of goal scoring. Rashford, this goal drought, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. The fact that our goals have come from the most randomest players this season. I'm seeing 2 from McTominay, 2 from Casemiro. Random games that we're chasing. And the goals are coming from the most randomest players. It's flipping crazy. It's hilarious. Varane scored, I think, early in the season as well. I just want to see some fluidity in our front line. I genuinely want to see some fluidity in our front line. Shout out to Steffi, says, I'm happy with the break. I need a breather. Listen, 2 weeks without football, normally I would be like, oh, I hate international break. I hate international. Bro, I'm here. I'm posted. I'm ready. I'm ready for international break. I'm ready. I think the players need it. They need to get their mind right. I need to get my mind right. Fans need to get their mind right. And of course, Manchester United women will still be playing as well. So I've got some positivity there as well. But I agree, Steffi. I'm glad with the break. And also, I'm just glad to go into the international break with a win. Honestly, I'm just a good riddance. Because you guys know what it is. If we had lost, over-analysis would have been happening. There would have been a lot of analysis over the next week in regards to Erik ten Hag as a manager, whether he should be getting sacked, about all these players, etc., etc. So now I know that discourse won't be happening, and the discourse will be predominantly around discussing about the players and what players need to move on, etc. I can move with that. Big up to everyone. Of course, things we learned after game week 8. Number 1, we need to buy a centre back next summer because Raphael Varane is not cut for it anymore. His knees, his legs, whatever is these. I think they didn't even give a proper explanation as to why he was out. They just said it's a minor issue. Whatever that minor issue is, bro, you got to go. We need a new centre back that we can rely on, fully fit and capable, like you lot always say, like everyone always says. This is their favorite thing to say. The best ability is availability. So I want that same energy for our centre back options. That's number 1. Number 2, Garnacho, I think, has earned a right to maybe start a game ahead of Marcus Rashford. I think Marcus Rashford should have been dropped to the bench a long time ago. But seeing Garnacho today and the last couple games in terms of his impact off the bench and the way that Rashford has now, he's getting less time in the second half every time. And today Ten Hag took him off in the 61st minute. I think Garnacho deserves that shot. So that's my second point. Number 3, justice for Hannibal Mejbri. Justice for a player that can perform well every time he plays and then gets benched with no explanation when the midfielders are pants themselves. Absolutely justice for Hannibal Mejbri. That should have been the title of this stream. Number 4, Casemiro, the most experienced player in our team. Most experience, most trophies, all of that stuff. Pathetic performances. pathetic performance today, pathetic performance midweek. I actually lost count of the number of pathetic performances he's had in a Manchester United shirt. But specifically this season, since he's come back from preseason, he's not been the same. And I think today for me was the final straw. To me today was the final straw in terms of his mistakes and his reluctancy to even try and make up for that. And getting hooked at halftime, it was very much deserved. Absolutely deserved. Number 5, I think Ten Hag clearly is relying and trusting in Bruno Fernandes, because that is the only reason why I think Mason Mount got taken off instead of Bruno 2 games in a row, despite the fact that I feel like Bruno has not been at his best. I feel like with Rashford, Ten Hag is losing his patience, but I think with his captain, his patience is kind of still there, and he's allowing him to play every game. But my patience is wearing thin, and I'm going to need Bruno to turn it around ASAP. If Bruno can do that and Rashford can do that, I think the team can hit the ground running after the international break. I genuinely think that. Give Garnacho a free start, see how it goes. Refuse to bring Rashford on until the end of the 3rd game. It needs to happen. I think he can. I think if Garnacho plays about 65, 70 minutes and Rashford plays 20, I wouldn't be against that, because I feel like I genuinely think once Rashford gets dropped and realizes that he is droppable, then those 20, 25-minute cameos he gets, he will do something that makes him deserve a starting spot again. And that's literally what's happened with Garnacho. Garnacho started 2 games, got dropped, now has literally every time impressed. And now people are calling for him to deservedly get another starting opportunity, which is what I think it should work. Football is all about form. It's all about form. It's about who's in form at that moment. But I feel like with Ten Hag, it's not like that. I feel like he's got his favorites. It's evident in terms of people who are guaranteed to be on the starting 11 every week. Bruno is one of them, and of course Rashford is one of them. So I agree. I think Garnacho deserves that start, A, because he's earned it, and B, because Rashford does not deserve to be starting. I do not think Rashford deserves to be starting. Drop Rash and Bruno, play Cass and see how he performs. I don't want to see Cass starting. I do not want to. If I'm saying drop Rashford and Bruno, then I'm saying drop Casemiro too, because then I'd be a hypocrite. I mean, you don't know I don't like that word. So I'd be a hypocrite if I say, oh, people who are performing badly deserve to get dropped. Do you guys think, before I wrap up the stream quickly, do you guys think Onana deserves to be dropped? Because I'm not going to lie, today, bar the mistake he's made, he kept us in the game with 2 big saves. I think one was a strike from outside of the box, tipped it over the bar, then it went to a corner, and then from that corner, it was a header, unmarked. I think it was Nogard that had an unmarked header. And he again tipped it over the bar. For me, I definitely think he kept us in the game, but he absolutely had to do that because he owed us that. He owed us that. That's why I feel like, and that's why I always say I'm in 2 ways about dropping someone when they're not playing well, because their confidence is already bad. That could even make their confidence even dip. And you know what? Someone said something to me a few days ago. It was a very valid point, because I thought about it today. When you're a goalkeeper, the mistakes you make are more under the microscope than any other player, because the mistakes you make 9 times out of 10 lead directly to a goal. 9 times, like today, for example, Casemiro gave the ball away. That's a Casemiro mistake. But if Lindelof had cleared the ball out properly and didn't try to clear it back into his own box, Lindelof would have saved Casemiro from that mistake, but he didn't. Anything different done by your teammate, and people might just look past your mistake. But as a goalkeeper, you are under a microscope 24/7, because 9 times out of 10, the mistakes you made, they lead directly to a goal. So I think those saves that he made definitely kept us in the game with the option to try get an equalizer. But I'm not for dropping him. I'm not for dropping him. Ahmed thinks that easy saves. I don't think it's easy saves. Keep playing him. Let him gain confidence. I agree. Yeah, drop everyone that doesn't perform. I 100% agree with that. If anyone deserves the sack, it's players who are not performing. I wish it could be easy. Like, we could just terminate people's contracts, because there's a whole heap of players in that team whose contracts I would immediately terminate. I'm not going to say who, but I would immediately terminate their contracts. Big up to everyone, man. You guys know what it is. What we learned after game week 8. I can't believe it's already game week 8. And we're sitting, I think we're 9th in the table now. Let me double check. Let me look at the table. Oh, we're back to 10th. My bad. We're back to 10th, of course. We're level on points with Palace and Newcastle. And Newcastle are obviously playing, I think, tomorrow. So they'll probably jump ahead of us. Finally, double digits. That's all I can say. Yesterday, I said I hope we could get double-digit points. We finally got 12 points. For me, that's ridiculous that we've only won 4 games. Do you know how great? The fact that we've won 4, lost 4, we haven't drawn anything so far this season. Sorry, it's hilarious to me. But what we learned after game week 8, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I told you guys. I think this is the win that changes the tide for Manchester United this season. This was such a big win. Such an important win. I don't care how we got it. Like I said, I'm just glad that we fought till the last minute to get it. That's all I care about. Shout out to Aminor says, Mina, I learned that we needed that win for the manager. I'm happy for the manager. So am I. You saw the way he was celebrating on the touchline. Crazy the way he was celebrating. Big up to everyone. Make sure you guys hit the like button, man. You guys know what it is. A lot of content coming midweek. It's international break, so you guys know what that means. I'll have some United discussions here. I'll be doing, of course, women content as well, and we'll have some gaming streams in the evening just to pass the day because there's no more football anymore. Make sure you guys hit the like button. The community is growing, man. That's what I like to see all the time. Community is growing. The channel is growing, and I'm going to try my best to keep bringing you guys a lot of content. You guys know what it is, man. As always, it's my privilege. It's your girl, Mina. Until next time, guys, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, man. 3 points. That's all that matters, guys. That's all that matters. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, guys. Probably I will do a stream tomorrow. So we'll be back. We'll be back, man. Big up to everyone. Until next time, guys, it's your girl, Mina. Peace.